This is my project book for Disarming Anti-Gun Arguments. I'm going to embark a couple times a week on parts of the book that I need to flesh out. And basically I'm going to make the arguments similar to what will be in the book on video. Alright, boys and girls, so section 1 is disarming common sense gun laws. And within common sense gun laws, there's going to be multiple sections. The first, again, in no particular order, background checks don't work, right? How do we know background checks don't work? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The first, and here let's break down what a background check is supposed to do, right? You're supposed to walk into your gun store, your FFL, and you're gonna fill out paperwork to purchase a gun. They're going to run your name under the NIC system to determine if you've been adjudicated unfit to be a gun holder. And it is true that some people are adjudicated not unfit to own a gun. These are people who have felonies, these are people who are either in short-term or long-term mental disability situations, and they show up. Okay, these people already know that they're unfit to have a gun, and there are already laws preventing them, or that they know they're violating by having said gun. The problem is that, okay, well, so then you say, okay, well, that's good. It's preventing people who are felons from getting guns. It's preventing people who are mentally adjudicated from getting guns. The problem is that they just lie. They lie in the paperwork. Something like, historically, there's only been 12 cases, or only a handful, really, of cases that have been successfully tried and found the person that lied on the paperwork to be guilty. So, if you're obstinate, which criminals are obstinate, human beings are obstinate, there's a high likelihood that you'll still get a gun, right? You'll still be able to pick up, fill out the paperwork, and get a gun. And this is a corollary effect, but it's important to talk about this in this section. Most guns that are registered are not used in crime. So understand, if you are going into your FFL to buy a gun, that gun is registered in your name, and they do a background check on you with that registration. If registered guns, by and large, aren't used in crime, then that means the people who want a gun, but legally are not supposed to get a gun, or want to do something illegal with said gun, are going to find another gun or get an illegal gun to fill that role. So, you take a background check out against somebody who lies on the paperwork to buy the gun. That's one way they can get them. Or two, they buy an illegal gun and that's what they use in crime. So the other thing that's important to understand with background checks is that the majority of guns are going to people who already own guns. People who buy guns buy more than one gun. They buy lots of guns, and some lots and lots of guns. Some statistics, some study was done that basically said 80% of all guns, all background checks, are against people who already own guns, who already have had background checks done. And what does that mean? Well, the important thing to understand here is that somebody doesn't buy a gun, then go get adjudicated mentally defective, and then try and go buy another one. Usually being adjudicated mentally defective or getting a felony or whatever ends their gun career. Their guns go away, they stop buying guns, they stop trying to acquire guns. Because something happens, some criminal event, whatever, they could be incarcerated, etc. So the fact that 80% of the people who are gun owners are the only ones getting background checked means that the 20%, these new shooters, okay, so now that's the actual Venn diagram of people that you could be stopping from getting a gun illegally. But we've already determined that people who commit crimes with guns generally use illegal guns, and the 20% or so that could be felons or whatnot lie on forms. And that pursuing people who lie on said forms is very difficult. So it's not effective, right? You've got multiple problems there to deal with, and none of it means that you're actually doing the job that you wanted to do, which was prevent people from getting guns that are illegal to have them. And here's a big one. It's unconstitutional. It's a extra step to exercise your right to the Second Amendment. And I know that the people that I'm disarming their arguments, they don't care about the Second Amendment, and they think that argument is tired and lazy and boring. But the reality is that if you applied any onerous, like registration, to any other right, they'd be up in arms over it. And so you say, well, yeah, but nothing affects people as much as guns affect people, right? You can pull out a gun and shoot anybody you want. And that's true, and that's the point, and that's exactly why they exist, because they're good at what they do, and they're good at protecting us, and they're good at being used in cases of self-defense. So the very people who often need the guns the most, people who live in poor areas, people with high crime, illegal immigrants, people who have a difficult time getting a gun because they're concerned about being involved with the government in something that is purchasing a gun while they are an illegal immigrant, right? Those people are the people who we should be wanting to help the most. So the people who are poor, are in areas that have high crime, that are concerned about dealings with the government because they're not exactly living a legal path lifestyle. They need guns because they're good at self-defense, and they live in high crime areas, and so they can have immediate purpose and immediate fear that their life may become in danger at some point in the future. Those people need guns. And what does registration or background checks do to them? Well, it discourages them from going through the process, because now they're in the system, now their paperwork's there, now they potentially have to lie. And lying is potentially a crime, and people don't generally want to break laws. Good people that want to defend themselves don't want to break laws, so now they're discouraged, and now they don't want to get a gun anymore. And here's the last point. It's expensive. It's expensive to both go through the process. It's expensive for the government to provide the forms. It's expensive for the government to provide the systems. It's expensive for the government to provide the people, to adjudicate people that belong in that system and what status they are, and keep those records up to date. And they're constantly updating their system and their processes and the work they do. They're constantly making changes to that. That's all real money. Keeping people employed, you know, you don't just want to. The government doesn't generally do a lot of contract work in technological areas like this. And when I say contract work, I mean short-term contracts. They have long-term contracts with very heady requirements and lots of functionality, etc., etc. And you don't just let those workforces go, particularly when they are paid for by the government. You want to keep them employed. And so what do? Well, you just kind of constantly have this churning thing, this machine of stuff that you have to keep working on. You gotta keep touching, you gotta keep making changes to, you gotta keep updating it, gotta try and get better at it, gotta keep whatever. And the machine itself, the using it in politicking, the using it in, and when I say machine, I'm talking about the whole system of registration, background checks. It's used by people who are anti-gun to say that laws are good, that creating common sense gun laws are good and they're helpful and they work. The reality is that if you told me that we're gonna spend an absorbent amount of money, we're gonna make 100% of people do this boring, laborious task, not laborious, but monotonous task of filling out this form every time they went to go purchase something, and only around 20% of the people were actually new to the system and actually potentially the people that you're looking to stop, right? Then I would say that's an inefficient law. And that then when they violate or lie to the form or the system, that only a handful, literally a handful of people have been successfully persecuted or prosecuted to fix that, to punish them for their lying, then again, that's an inefficient system, it's an inefficient law. And then you say, well, we could just fix that, we could just get better at it. Well, you can't, because the legal system is based off of the rights of the individual and protecting those rights as much as possible. So the reality is that if it's a prosecutable law, and a very small percentage of gun owners are actually, or people who want to purchase a gun are actually going to be stopped by it, then what's the point? Got some kid smashed up his Mustang.
Irvine coming up on this. Wait, no, wait.
I'm the first person home. I'm gonna crawl up on that couch and fall asleep immediately. I am like very hungry right now, which is always dangerous. So I have a feeling I will not be eating the no sugar, no grains lifestyle for dinner tonight.
Oh, if you're not doing no sugar, no grain, we should go to Buffalo Wild Wings. We should go somewhere with carbs.
Well, I don't want like a lot of carbs.
What you're saying is you don't want the never-ending pasta bowl.
No.
And insert a
No, that's gross. No, I never want that. I never want that. What are you doing? I won. Oh, look at that. Recent high scores.
What was...
I have like multiples on here. That's funny. That was like before Edison was born.
That's not recent at all.
Yeah. Only 78 in the nation. Only 78. Oh, it's bad. It's real bad. I'm gonna have to have some of that before the wings come. We got the blazing wings. It's hot. Leia wanted to make sure that I immortalized her beating me, since it's the first time she's ever done it.
No? You have another...
Less than like one hand you have beat me. Less than 5 times. Less than 5 times. Leia beat me in trivia today. Not happy about that. I usually don't lose trivia. Alright, after a dinner that I shouldn't have had, we will not be eating afters. Although I want to eat afters.
Really? I have like no interest in that.
But I'm not going to eat afters. Maybe sometime in the future.
I could go for an orange Julius.
Oh yeah, the water carrier. We said we wanted the water carrier. How many gallons is this? 5 gallons. Good. Excellent. 99 cents for 1 dozen eggs. For all those people that like complain on my my $7 for 7 days video, you can get them. You just have to shop around. Wow. Well, the baby spit up all over me. Looks like it's mostly dried. Stinks like spit up though, so that's awesome. That's dad life. Ben is having an ultimate meltdown. He is in his room because he's going nuts. So, an altogether successful night. Question of the day: what was your favorite disciplinarian thing you would do? With favorite meaning most effective. Ours seems to be go to your room. Works pretty well. He changes his tune real quick. Just a quick time in his room. Something about it calms him down, even though he cries a lot. And he comes back with a new, renewed sense of not being a jerk. Alright guys, we'll talk to you later. See ya. We've come to the end of the video, and this is what we call a trailer. It's where I ask you, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see my day-to-day vlogs, hit subscribe. And if you want, I've got a whole playlist with over 700 videos just talking about stuff that you just watched. So if you enjoy all of that, go check that out too. I really appreciate you coming. Comment below. I engage with everybody, and thanks a lot.